Welcome back to EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into something that's been catching a lot of attention lately, an executive retreat in Finnish Lapland specifically designed around AI transformation. Sam, when you first heard about this concept, what was your take? Because honestly, an AI Vision Quest in the Arctic Circle sounds pretty unconventional.
That was my exact first reaction, Alex. Unconventional in the best way. But here's what intrigued me: the data backing it up. 73% of enterprises are already deploying Agentic AI systems, and yet most executive development is still stuck in case study mode. So the question becomes, how do you actually help leaders architect real transformation? And the answer apparently isn't another webinar.
Right. And that's really the core insight here. We're not just talking about AI awareness anymore. We're talking about agentic AI, autonomous systems, fundamental architectural shifts. Can you unpack what that means for someone listening who might not be tracking all the latest developments?
Absolutely. Think of it this way. First-generation AI was largely about tools you'd use: ChatGPT, image generators, that kind of thing. Agentic AI is different. These are systems that autonomously break down problems, execute workflows, and make decisions with human oversight. Microsoft's research shows organizations with dedicated AI architects deploying these systems see 3.4 times faster deployment cycles. That's not a marginal improvement, that's transformational.
So the gap isn't knowledge, it's execution capability. Leaders understand AI exists, but they don't know how to architect it into their organization. That's where this Finnish retreat comes in, right?
Exactly. And they call it a vision quest for a reason. The location, Lapland, pristine forests, midnight sun, that's not just scenic. Neuroscience confirms that environmental change and nature exposure accelerate creative problem-solving and strategic clarity. You're removing the noise, creating psychological restoration, and then working with a dedicated AI mentor to actually build something.
So it's 7 days, small cohorts of about 8 people max, and you're working with someone called an AI lead architect. What does that relationship actually look like over the week?
From what's described, it starts exploratory, understanding where your organization is, what problems you're trying to solve, but quickly moves into operational territory. You're not just theorizing, you're building actual AI agents, designing prompts, architecting knowledge systems. It's what MIT calls embodied learning. You learn by doing, with expert feedback in real time.
And I think this connects to something IBM flagged in their research: context engineering and prompt engineering as the highest ROI competency for AI adoption. But only 14% of Fortune 500 companies have formalized frameworks for this. That's a massive gap.
Huge gap. Most organizations are treating AI as an IT implementation rather than a strategic architecture challenge. So the executives who figure out how to design effective prompts, build knowledge architectures, and maintain human oversight, they're positioned to capture disproportionate value. But that requires hands-on experimentation, not reading about it.
Let's talk specifics about the retreat itself. It's happening at Taiga School in Kuusamo, Finland, surrounded by 4 national parks. Is that just window dressing, or is there something deliberate about the location?
It's deliberate. You're talking about an eco-conscious hotel in a region designed for restoration. Participants wake to midnight sun, work alongside a pristine lake, and experience the kind of environmental conditions that research shows accelerate strategic insight. Plus, keeping cohorts at 8 people means you get personalized mentorship, but also peer learning from other executives facing similar transformation challenges.
So over 7 days, what's actually happening? Walk us through the structure.
You've got your personal AI mentor relationship anchoring everything. That's your dedicated AI lead architect who evolves from exploratory conversations into concrete strategic frameworks. Simultaneously, you're building actual AI agents, designing strategic prompts based on your organization's needs, and architecting a personalized leadership roadmap. And critically, you're not doing this in isolation. There's peer collaboration happening in parallel.
And the output at the end isn't just, "I feel inspired." There's an actual deliverable, A 90-day transformation plan, right?
Exactly. That's the operational reality check. By day 7, you walk out with a 90-day roadmap tied to your organization's specific AI deployment goals. It's not theoretical, it's executable. You know what agents you're building, how your teams will use them, what the first steps are when you return to the office.
I think one thing that strikes me about this approach is it's betting against the traditional conference model. No keynotes, no vendor booths, no certification tracks. Why is that the right bet for AI leadership specifically?
Because AI architecture requires cognitive shift that case studies and webinars simply don't create. You need to think differently about your organization's core operations, about how autonomous systems change decision-making, about managing teams through genuine transformation. That requires immersion, expert mentorship, peer learning, and, honestly, some psychological restoration to think clearly. You can't keynote your way into that.
And there's also the trust factor, right? If you're in a room with 7 other executives from different industries all wrestling with the same AI transformation challenge, there's a different kind of honesty that emerges.
Absolutely. You're not competing for attention or positioning yourself for a sale. You're all there with the same challenge. How do I architect AI transformation in my organization? That vulnerability and shared mission creates the conditions for real peer mentoring and knowledge exchange. You're building a network of peers who understand the specific challenge of executive AI leadership in 2026.
So the practical question, who should actually consider this? Is it for CIOs, for CEOs, for strategy officers?
I'd say anyone responsible for enterprise AI strategy or organizational transformation. That could be a CIO building the AI architecture, a CEO setting direction, a chief strategy officer defining how AI changes competitive positioning. The common thread is you're accountable for actually deploying Agentech AI and need to move beyond theory into operational clarity. The retreat bridges that gap.
And timing-wise, we're talking about 2026 being the real inflection point where Agentech AI moves from experimental to core infrastructure. So the window for this kind of foundational leadership development is genuinely narrow.
Extremely narrow. Organizations that have clarity on their AI strategy and dedicated architects are showing 3.4 times faster deployment. If you're not in that camp yet, waiting another year or two puts you behind competitively. This retreat is designed to compress that learning cycle significantly.
All right, Sam, final thought. What's the one biggest misconception you think executives have about AI leadership development that this retreat directly challenges?
That learning happens through information transfer. Executives read about AI, take courses, understand the concepts, and assume they're ready to lead transformation. But building AI agents, designing prompts, architecting knowledge systems, managing autonomous decision-making, that requires embodied learning. You have to actually do it, fail safely, iterate, and refine with expert feedback. That can't happen in a conference room or via video. It requires immersion.
That's a perfect distillation. For anyone listening who wants to dig deeper into this concept of AI vision quests and what executive AI transformation looks like in practice, head over to etherlink.ai and find the full article. You'll get all the details on the retreat, the mentorship model, and the research backing it. Thanks for breaking this down, Sam.
Thanks for having me, Alex. This is one of those ideas that sounds unconventional until you realize it's addressing a genuinely urgent gap in how we develop AI leadership. Worth paying attention to.
That's EtherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.